Tony and Val McGinley, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jerry.
Thanks for joining us in our new studios this morning.
Fabulous.
Yeah, we already eulogised the place last week.
That's true. In my absence, I'm still getting a handle on where I am. I still haven't even woken up this morning yet, truth be told. But anyway, lovely studios, I have to say. We're going to start, and if you have any queries and comments, get them into us on any of our numbers on text or WhatsApp or on phone for Tony and Val. We're going to start this week with a query that says, my husband is very good at his sport. All is great when he wins. The problem is when he loses, all hell breaks loose. There is no violence, but terrible moods with me and the children. I try my best to keep the peace, but nothing I do seems to make him feel better. Any thoughts?
I'd be worried about that pattern of behaviour. I think he's a fella that never really grew up.
Right.
And I was listening last night, in fact, to a podcast with Jordan Peterson. He's a professor of psychology at Toronto.
That's right. He was here giving a talk. He's a controversial enough figure, but interesting nonetheless.
Very interesting guy to listen to. But he was talking about, how we develop. And he told a story, I presume it's a true story. He observed himself of a young boy who was the top of the team.
Yes.
10-year-old or thereabouts. And the team lost. And the kid threw a wobbly and started blaming the ref. The ref want to get a new pair of glasses and
yes,
this is unfair. And
yeah.
He said the problem was the father came out and supported the child in his viewpoint and said, yeah, the ref was wrong. And Peter said he intervened and he said, what is this lad, what are you training him for? Just this game or the next game? Or if you really think about it, you should be training him for life. And in life, we come up against losses. And if you want that lad to be anyway stable, you have to say, yeah, look, you lost. Bite the bullet, accept the fact, and ask yourself what was done wrong. Is there anything we can do about it?
Yeah.
Instead of
deal with the knocks that competitive sport
deal logically with the
highs
knocks,
and the lows.
And I think this is a typical case here where this man, and it's a dangerous behaviour because he's behaving like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And
not all 10-year-olds behave like that.
No, indeed not. A lot of 10-year-olds are way more mature than that.
Yeah. Val, what do you think?
I go along with Tony. It's very, very dangerous, and it puts the heart crossways in me that anybody, the wife and the children, have to put up with these bad moods. I think what I would possibly do, I'm not saying it would work because I don't know, but I think what I would possibly do is go out for a drink or for coffee with the guy and say, this is not right. This is not this behaviour. And again, I would try to the best of my ability to avoid the word you. As Tony says, write it out and write it out and write it out. And maybe give it to him in a letter. But maybe also go out and say, this is not right. This sort of behaviour is very destructive for anybody who is in the vicinity of it. And personally, I've decided I'm not putting up with it anymore. And I wouldn't try to be... the way I'd be keeping the peace is by getting up and walking out, removing myself. And if the kids were around, I would say the same thing. I would say, come on, kids, let's go upstairs, or let's go into the living room or the kitchen or whatever. Yeah,
and take them out of the situation. Interesting point you're making there about, I suppose, the immaturity of the behaviour. But and I've come across people like this in my life, and I'm sure everyone knows somebody who is obsessive or maybe feels are ultra competitive when it comes to competing in anything, competing in a job, competing in sport. It could be playing a game of table tennis when they come across the table tennis table abroad on holidays, and instantly the competitive nature takes over and they react really badly to losing. Is it not a character trait?
It is.
To be explained by that some people are just, it's the way they're wired. They're into it, they compete, and they do not like it when they lose.
Basically,
I'm not excusing it, by the way, when suggesting, but
we're all competitive up to a point. But when it goes that far, it's actually aggressiveness. And it's actually, in my opinion, a sort of sociopathic behaviour. I deserve it more than you or anybody else for that matter.
I'm better than you.
If that kicks in, that's a very dangerous point of view.
Yeah.
I think basically one of the problems in the world is that the world is competitive. And there's up to a point that's good.
Is it society that does it, though? That question, it gears us to, well, you're here, and I know there in underage sport, there's, over the last number of years, have been a concentration in non-competitive playing, so kids can get enjoyment and learn all the skills of it. But as older you get, the more you're into this competition, and you're geared towards an academic life, in social life, in your sporting life.
Yeah. Non-competitive sports are nearly as harmful as over-competitive ones, because it takes all the sort of achievement stuff out.
Too far the other way.
But what I'm talking about here is that what we should be training our children in is reciprocity and cooperation, because good teamwork, any sport is a reciprocal thing. And if I can step back from I have to win or I have to beat you at any cost, and get into the point that this is a skill, I'm refining the skill. If I lose this time, so what? I learn something from it. Next time I'll do one better on it.
I remember years ago there was some girl from Kerry killed in a car crash in Galway. I can't remember the girl's name, God bless her. I met a friend downtown and she said, did you hear about so-and-so? And I said, I did. And my friend said, I wouldn't mind, but she was brilliant.
Yes.
And I said, listen to what you're saying.
Yeah.
I said, are you saying if she was
not as
brilliant,
successful,
it wouldn't be a tragedy.
It wouldn't be as much of a tragedy.
It wouldn't be as much of a tragedy. And she said, oh my God. I said, it's a tragedy that any human being dies, you know.
Yeah, regardless of the value that society puts on someone's performance. And if you lose at something, the other side of it, you can play a game, whether it's a team sport, you can do 95% of brilliant things, or your team or the players can do brilliant things. And it tends to be instantly forgotten if you lose the game, even if it's by a point or a try or a basket in basketball. And sometimes that gets thrown out.
Yeah, I love Wimbledon.
People who lose don't learn the lesson that you did really well there, you played really well. Yes, you lost, but hold on to the good things you did for the next day.
Yeah, I love Wimbledon. It'll play again next year. And I remember hearing Jeremy Irons on the Pat Kenny show, and Pat Kenny said to him, you won an Oscar, didn't you? And Jeremy Irons said, right, Pat, he said, who won the Oscar for Best Actor in 1992?
Yeah.
And Pat Kenny said, I don't know. And Jeremy Irons said, I rest my case.
I rest my case.
He said, it's on the mantelpiece. What does it matter?
Listener gets in touch, says, I've had some unpleasant comments down the years about my style of dressing. The problem is now that I'm offended and heartily fed up over them. I'm not a follower of the fashions. I dress for comfort and practicality. I know you don't give out advice, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on this subject.
Okay, I'll go first on this. Yeah, I would say good luck to you. And well done, seriously well done. And I would say follow your own heart. I mean, you think about it like fashion. I remember once going somewhere and buying a little suitcase that was from 100 down to 50. And I asked, there was just one, it was blue. And I asked why was it reduced, and they said it's not this year's colours. I still have it. It was one of the best purchases of my life. Titanium little suitcase, you know.
Spot on.
So I think like fashion is there, and if I'm a follower of fashion, that's fine too.
Yeah,
go with it. But if I'm not, just go with your style and dress. And what to say to people? Say, I like it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, suits me.
Yeah, I like it.
Move on.
I like it.
Tony?
I'd have a few questions here. I'd first ask the person if I was speaking to them and said, are you happy and secure in yourself? Are you happy and secure in the way you dress and in your appearance? That's the first question. If I got a yes, that's great. Now, do the remarks of other people generally upset you?
Yeah.
And if it's yes,
so why?
If it's a yes, there's one avenue. If it's a no, and then, so if you're happy in the way you feel you look and the way you dress, you're happy with yourself, and you don't take people's, why is this getting under your skin?
Yeah.
And if you can ask yourself that question, why is it getting under your skin? You know, there are people who make remarks like that, but if you can adopt the attitude that I'm happy with myself. Sometimes people say silly things, you know, they're just making conversation, but they open their mouth and engage their mouth before the brain is properly turned on, as it were.
Yeah.
And it happens. What I would suggest is that when that happens again, that you just simply say to the person, thank you very much for your opinion and observations. However, I'm very happy with the way I look, and I'd prefer if you didn't make that kind of remark again. Now, if you're going to use that, the delivery method of that message is crucial.
Yeah. Because you may be upsetting someone's sensibilities, but they're the ones who made a comment about you, I suppose. But you have to keep an even tone.
Yeah, almost a throwaway tone, a very light delivery. But if you can deliver that message, it'll help not just the person. They may not learn about it, but it'll help you.
Yeah. It certainly will. Look, I guess it is that thing as well of following the trends. And the other thing is the expense of it all. It can cost a lot of money to follow fashion. I actually saw a lot of people who was on holidays. I've noticed that younger people, says the old man, who are walking now. And when I was a young man, or a younger man than I am now, holes in the jeans. The ripped look is in now, and sometimes it's like complete ripped, like not just a hole, an entire section around the knee will be missing.
And do you like it?
Well, I imagine it costs a bomb, and they're using less material. So the fashion companies are going, this is brilliant. Less material, I'll rip the holes out and we'll make more money.
They're probably buying up the damaged ones from another factory.
Just as interesting. And your legs have to look very good because people can see loads of your legs now, whereas before it was all covered up. All these sort of different things come into the factor in the situation. But I guess, Val, the final point is if you dress for comfort and practicality, as long as you're genuinely happy with it yourself,
yes,
is that the key thing?
I suppose, like going on Tony's thing of what do I dress for? And this person has defined that they dress for
comfort and practicality.
Comfort and practicality.
Yeah.
Right. Now, there are occasions when I have to dress for the occasion. I can't go to a wedding in a bikini, for example.
Or in your sweats or whatever.
Yeah. So I would say also on occasions I will wear different clothes.
Yeah.
But apart from that, if that's the way I want to dress, good luck and well done.
Then that's the way it should be. Okay, all right. Well, listen, my thanks to Tony and Val for another great show.